I share the screen.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me just introduce you, and then you can go from there. So everybody, thank you for joining today. I'd like to introduce Chua, who's been our intern for the last couple of months, and we've asked him to look at holds. Chua comes from operational research, statistics background. That's what he's doing at university. So we asked him to take a look. And what we wanted to present to you today was the summary of the work that he's been doing so that you get a chance to see it and have a look at it. Chua gets a chance to present before
Okay.
he does his presentation to his supervisor. So we wanted to give him this opportunity. Please be nice, but this is also your opportunity to ask questions and for us all to discuss together. So thank you again for your time. Let me hand over to Chua. You want to introduce yourself and tell us about yourself, Chua, and where you come from, and then we'll get into it.
Okay. So I'm okay. My name is Chua Chu Chin, and you can call me Chua. So I'm already have a couple months in Zebra. So I still left 1 week more, and so my internship period is about 4 months. Yeah. I'm from Kelantan, Malaysia, Kelantan, and I'm staying right now in Penang, Malaysia. So yeah.
Do you want to share about your university, which
Okay.
university, and what you're studying?
So my I'm 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 now is in University Utara Malaysia in UUM in Tok Kedah. So basically this is my final semester, and my course name is decision science, which is make a decision with statistical and analysis. Yep, that's that's all. So
Okay.
I continue with my presentation.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
So this is my title: simulation study of the zebra verification hole for repair with the comment serial number has not been added. Okay, by discrete event simulation. Discrete event simulation is one of the type of simulation. Okay, so let's see. Okay, the objective for this is okay. So the first one is to identify the longest number of the queue of the whole process. So to release the whole, and then the second is to determine the recommendations of the performance improve of whole process of the queuing system. Okay, so these simulations tools I'm using is arena simulations tool, and my simulation journeys. So beginning I'm start with the first model is review all the whole for the MRA submission, and then it be rejected. And second is I make focus on zebra verification hole, which the most hole, and then be rejected. And the third is I'm focused on zebra verification hole with only comment serial number has not been added to any contracts. So this is the final model. Okay, so this is my simulation model. Okay, and this from getting from after getting the list of the verification hole and investigate the contract number, and we look on how many percent of have a contract number and any additionals and any reasons with the release hole. So this I make some assumes. So the service is to be released depends on the complexity, 2 to 10 minutes or more if needs to investigations. So I make a consumption about the capacity of the contract teams is 30%, and the contract team is only focused to. I know that some of contract team has a lot of work, right? So this for this model is only focus on to release the holes only. So another is the number of replications, and it runs for 4 days from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's morning to noon. So its total hour is 32. So if one replication is mean runs for 32 hours, and if two replication is mean that runs for 64 hours, so this model will be run for 5 replication. Okay, and then so we see the result. So in the overall of the waiting times, so let's see, this is the result that based on the 5 replications. So the entity incomes, so from creates the zebra verification until release, so in and out is around this, and then it spend average 2.5 hour, and the average waiting times means that the waiting times between holes and the next hole. So the average is 0.003. The most important, the most the top two highest is investigate the serial numbers and the contract number, and just added means that if nothing happens, we just added the serial number into the contract. And then so this is the maximum waiting hour. So in the maximum waiting hour, we can found that this is the most 1.1 1.2, almost 1.2 hours, and 1.17 hours. So it's same. The number in queue is mean that in the process. So the numbers of queues is mean that the in the process we got how many holes. So that there is 0.64 in average for 5 replications. So and then 0.513 holes for average. So the maximum number of queuing is 19, the highest, and 18 the second highest, right? So we can see that result utilizations contract teams use 73% if we based on 100% to reduce. So it was 73% utilization rate. Okay, and then so we need to make a improvement to reduce the number of hole in the queue. So this is the interventions of change to improve time. So to in order to achieve the objective of study, so improve with some of the scenario. Okay, so scenario one, we can see that if we increase the capacity of the contract teams from 30 to 31. Okay, so this is the basic model, and this is the scenario one. So we change it, and we can see that that's decreasing the waiting time. So we can see that have a improvement, right? And then we can see that the utilization rates also will be decreased. So in the average of the queuing number also will be decreased. Okay, so uh, it will be decreased, And second scenario is we increase the length of the replications. What means that we increase the length of the replications. So just now I saw that I say that 4 days for X hour per day, right? So 4 days means 32 hours. And then we increase from 32 to 35 means that they need to extra work for another 3 hours. And we can see that's the result. And total use is total hold time increase, but the whole waiting time will decrease. Okay, and the waiting time for the just added also decrease, and the number of uh queue also decrease if we compare with the basic model and the scenario 2. Okay, but if we compare the first scenario and the second scenario, the high impact for the scenario is the first impact, the first one, increase the capacity of the contract team. So the third scenario is we increase the both sides. We increase capacity and the length of the replications. So from 32 increase with 35 and 30 with 31. So we can see the result, and it's not good as the scenario one. So in conclusion, we can say that the scenario one is the best solution. Okay. So the next one. So in conclusion, uh, investigates the serial number and just added the process at the longest queue with compare with other process. What's another? So by increase the capacity of the contract teams and the length of the replications can be reduce the number of queuing system. But increasing the capacity is more efficient, effective than the increase the length of the replication. So otherwise, to uh, reduce the queuing system is we reduce the hole. So other recommendations for the reduce the hole is we reduce the part number that is incorrect and need to match with contracts. And second, we make sure the contract has enough blank space so that easy to add the units into contract. And the third is able the secondary entitlements for more customers. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, okay, that's all for me. Any question?
I have one question.
Okay,
What did you mean by replication? I didn't understand that.
okay. There is two replications. Okay, the number of replications mean that okay means that okay if we run one replication means that we run for 32 hours. So if two number of replications runs for um, the simulation model means we runs for 64 hours and continues go on until the fifth replication. So in this model, simulation model, I run for five replication, but the length of the replication is 32 hours per replication. You get what I mean?
So it means that the replication means that we have to go through the whole process, and then we measure how long it takes. That's what you mean?
Replication means that we run the model
Uh-huh.
with 32 hours. Okay. So the numbers of replications means that I run for 5 times for this same model, so it will become the average of the result. So it can be more accurate for it
Okay.
compared to, yep.
Thank you.
All right.
Can I ask, where did you get these numbers for capacity contracting 30 people?
I just assume this is for 30 persons or under the 30. This is where I assume only, not for running this model.
So this is purely for the simulation purposes, no real numbers here, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the percentages are real so Chua, right? The percentages are real numbers, and the times in each box, but the number of people in a contracts team is just an assumption. Is that correct?
You mean this inside this box?
Yeah.
This sum of the real number and some of the just assume it.
Right. So some real numbers and some assumptions.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
So
mix.
so that it can be more accurate to the real and the simulations model, real model and simulation model, so that it can be accurate.
Does that answer the question, Sasha?
Yes, I think so. And same for the on the next slide when we have the time calculations.
Yeah.
Or that's again just some hypothetical numbers here, right? Not based on some current time study or anything like that.
This one, you mean? Okay, this one I'm taking after I'm actually I have a list of the from creations the whole and release when to release the whole. So I minus 2 and I get the total of durations to release the whole, right? So I put in the simulations the process time. So I run it and I get it. This maybe it's not accurate, but I'm trying the best to do this accurate. Yeah.
But you are using the creation and release date.
Yeah.
Of the hold.
Yeah, for the whole.
Okay, so it is not.
Yes. Yes, Hana.
Yeah, because the hold can be created for a couple of hours before the agent picks it up.
Yeah, that's right.
So there might be 3 hours no touch and then resolved within 2 minutes. So
yeah.
It will completely change your numbers here, right?
Yeah, yes, that's right.
But I think the answer that we're looking for is that this is based on real life. This is based on a time study, but there are some assumptions in the model. And maybe some inaccuracies, is what Hannah's just said, right?
Yep.
So, but what time study? Like where was the time study done?
So the time study was 12. My understanding was that you looked at all of the data over a period of time and did the analysis and pulled out the numbers of the holds in the different areas, right? So for example, where we've got investor here, right? You made some assumptions or did some analysis about how long it takes us to investigate the serial number and contract number, for example.
How long I take this? So I based on that model, that questions, that durations, and so that I can know how many hours, and I put the what we call the process input process, so that it will be run and give me these expressions and put it on the system so that it can be run as the actual one.
Right. Okay. So investigate serial number and contract number is based on real data, and he used the modeling tool to come up with what that looks like as a model, as a mathematical model, and that's what was put in the simulation. So that box represents real life of how long it took us to investigate the serial number and contract number based on the data, whatever data that was. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But again, where does the data come from? Because I mean, on hold, you have the dates, right? When the hold was applied and when the hold was released. But I don't think you have a way to measure how long did you work on one particular hold.
I don't have the detail of each times that they taken, but I have the creations hold and release hold. So I have these two numbers only. So I can make these things happen. Yeah.
So Sasa, basically the number he got it from Siebel, right? He just download from the database, the Siebel system, and just see the creation date and also the resolution date. So you just take that as what Hana said, those number, but it won't be accurate, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, you will have this will tell you that it takes 1 day to release a hold, right?
Right.
When in fact it takes you 2 minutes, not 1 day.
Correct. Yes, that's right. So this won't reflect the actual. It's just more to for him. He just do some sort of simulations to basically try it out and see how good the simulation can work, right? Simulate and provide all the detailed analysis. But I think if we want, we can use all the actual to get all the actual information to really do a proper actual simulation scenario to simulate to the real scenario.
So this was purely just to use the percentages, not the time allocation. Right?
Yeah, time allocation should be time. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So
I stop sharing.
Yes. Okay. So look. So I think the summary here is that you can see that this model needs some work, right? And it's a start, but I think it demonstrates the fundamental need for us to understand how our system works. And I think this is a good start. I think Char has taken on quite a complex task. And with Hana's help and Barath's help, has tried to boil it down to at least something that is simulatable. But I think this is probably a first step for us to go and understand our system, maybe use some process mining tools in the future to really get behind how our system is working in real life. It is very difficult to model. But I think the recommendations, I mean, we may disagree on some of the numbers, but I think the recommendation, at least for me, has some bounds in common sense that clearly we can add people. That's a little bit more effective than making them work longer. And clearly, if we have part numbers that are correctly in the system, we'll get less holds and also contracts that are full up if we can avoid that as well. So there's some common sense output of this, which is quite good, I think. So I'd like to thank Trial for that, and I'd like to thank everybody for their time today, for listening through this. giving Chua the opportunity to present to you. I think this is the first time that he's done something like this. I know he was very nervous in doing it, so I appreciate him stepping up to this. I appreciate everyone's questions as well. I think this is a good learning opportunity.
I
Abby,
have something to, yeah, I want to,
yeah,
actually, I would like to say something here.
okay.
Sure, I'm actually quite impressed with your model. It's actually very interesting model to actually understand. Yes, I know that, you know, you use some of your assumptions to create, whereas some of us here will prefer to use exact numbers, you know, but actually whatever you have that can be improvised. I think it's very, very interesting. And after many years, I'm seeing someone bringing some statistical analysis inside. I'm also from statistics. I'm from UKM. So congrats, and I very happy. You know, you are doing a great job here, and you know, Pete, he's good.
See, there you go.
Thanks.
Thank you, Avi.
Thank you.
So this is great, right? I mean, I think you get a sense of how also company works, right? Everyone has their opinion. We get together, we talk about it, we challenge one another to try and do better, and then, you know, out of this, we'll modify the model. We make one step forward. So before we wrap up, I'd like, you know, Hana or Leila, Sasha, Eva, Barath, you got any further comments?
No, I don't have any.
I don't. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, maybe Pete, I have one comment. Maybe the next venture you want to do another model, maybe you can show us your hypothesis first, what you would like to drive, what you want to see. Then probably we can engage a little bit more easier.
Okay.
Because if you go directly to your model, not telling us what you want to achieve and what your hypothesis was, it's a little bit difficult actually. But in overall, your model is, I think it's really good. Just need some fine tuning. I think you will be able to solve a lot of questions.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah, it is very interesting. I had no idea that you can run these kind of simulation, and maybe for other process solutions, it would be really useful to have these kind of tools available. It was interesting to see.
Okay.
That's great.
Thanks, Leila.
Okay. Right. So listen, I think let's wrap up. Give everyone some time back. Thank you all for coming and your feedback. Chua, do you want to finish up?
So I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to present to all of you. So give me some confidence of my work, and thanks for attend this presentation. And thank you especially Hana, Barath, Pete, help me to develop this model. So thank you very much. Yeah.
Okay. Welcome. Okay.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you
Great
all.
job. Keep it
Okay.
up.
Thank you all.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay,
Bye.
thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you and
Bye.
good luck.
Bye.
Chua. Bye.
Bye.